Hi everybody, this is Anthony, virtually known as Anthony Virtually 2003 on my YouTube channel here. And today's video, I'm going to talk about, talking about Dance Sobel. Yeah, that's right, I'm talking about Dance Sobel. So today's video I'm talking about Dance Sobel, like I just said before a couple of times, what I just said. I did say Dance Sobel either a couple or a few times what I just said, so yeah. So I'm talking about Dance Sobel, and I want to tell you what is Dance Sobel, and this video, who have never heard what Dance Sobel, who have never seen that user before, and or everyone who remember Dance Sobel as well. Either if you're watching, it doesn't matter if you were a Dance Sobel hater or a Dance Sobel liker and stuff like that, or everyone who never heard of this user. So yeah. And I'm gonna explain about what my thoughts on Dance Sobel and what he did. I know, and what he was doing something good or bad. What he did in the past, or what he did good, which I like about him. So yeah. I'm gonna tell you who Dance Sobel is. Do you know what? So yeah, let's get started with this video, shall we? And this video is for everyone who never heard Dance Sobel or everyone who remembered Dance Sobel and stuff like that. I don't know what I'm gonna say everything about Dance Sobel during this, for me and by myself, that is, during this video, so I'm just gonna have to let it be. So yeah. And I'm going to tell you what is Dance Sobel. Are you ready? Here we go. Do you know who Dance Sobel really is, you guys? Well, he's kind of a YouTuber. Well, I think I want to tell you what he usually does on his channel. Well, besides what he's doing something wrong, that is. And I will tell you why he was doing something wrong. Well, some of the stuff that viewer discretion, which I don't usually do viewer discretion a lot, mostly on my YouTube channel. So yeah. Do you know who Dance Sobel really is? He's a YouTuber who likes to do some fun things on his YouTube channel. He likes to do all kinds of fun stuff on his YouTube channel and social medias and stuff like that. Well, besides what he was doing something wrong and bad things he did. Well, when he did something fun on his YouTube channel, but even better, I'm talking about Dance Sobel stuff when he was doing something even better. Besides, I'll talk about his wrongdoing stuff later. I'm talking about what he's doing. Now let's talk about Dance Sobel while he's doing something good, and this is the stuff I really like about his channel. Are you ready? Well, okay. Dance Sobel is kind of a huge fan of Blue's Clues, and he likes to do his Blue's Clues stuff. And it's kind of like a channel. It's kind of like a YouTube channel review of Dance Sobel. So I'm doing a review of Dance Sobel and stuff like that, which is a YouTube user named Dance Sobel. Also, but his YouTube channel is called Dan the Mellow Pony if he has a first fan. And here's what Dance Sobel likes to do for fun in his channel. Besides what he was doing something wrong, he likes to do his dance videos, which I don't watch a lot of his dance videos, but I don't mind he was doing his dance videos. Which I don't mind he was doing the dance videos and stuff like that, so yeah. And he likes to do his Blue's Clues letter segments. Yeah, I remember he does do his Blue's Clues letter segments a lot. I know he has somewhere 700 or 800 videos, 800 letter segments. Now he has almost 10,000 videos on his channels. He has a bunch of videos. He uploads a lot of videos usually every day. And what he usually do on his YouTube channel, he likes to do his, showing his toy review. And his very first video on Dance Sobel, which is on his The Legend Is Born, his YouTube channel, the same account is called Dan the Mellow Pony, Sophia the First Fan, was his Trolls keyboard piano, which is back in December 11th of 2020 during COVID. So yeah, that was his very first YouTube. No, that was his very first YouTube video. I don't think that was his originally his first channel. So yeah. And I remember he was doing. I only like Dan Sobel when he's doing something good. I don't care if he's doing something wrong. So yeah, I remember what Dan Sobel was doing something wrong, which I remember he was doing some wrongdoing stuff or his bad stuff he did sometimes. He doesn't always do that 24/7. And by the way, he does like kids shows. Like, I don't mind. He likes his children's shows. He definitely likes Blue's Clues, Dora the Explorer, Go Diego Go, which I remember Go Diego Go and Dora the Explorer and Blue's Clues when I was a kid. I remember watching Dora the Explorer and Blue's Clues when I was a kid. I don't mind Dora and Go Diego Go. And Little Bill, Little Bear, Jack's Big Music Show, Ooby, Teletubbies, Booba, Sesame Street, and all kinds of kids shows he likes. He does like his children's kids shows. Yeah, he does like his TV shows. He likes to watch. He likes movies. But I know the shows he hates. I know. Well, I'm not sure if he hates. I know he kind of does hate PJ Masks and Rusty Rivets. He does hate Horde Henry. He does hate Top Wing and What's What the Clumsy Cat and all kinds and more and Coconut Fred's Fruits Island. He does like SpongeBob SquarePants. He does like My Life as a Teenage Robot, Dexter's Laboratory, whatever that is. So yeah, and he does like, oh yeah, I think he does like Scooby Doo. I did kind of like that. He does like Nick Jr. Nickelodeon. He does like Nick Jr. Face. Like, hi there, Face here. So yeah, I do know that New Yorker site Jennifer Manning, I believe Jordan's Media Corps 2000 we're still neutral to Dan Sobel, and I like Dan Sobel too. So yeah, but if those of you who hate Dan Sobel, if I were, if all the Dan Sobel haters were watching this, as long who cares about me, if you're watching this, I respect your opinion if you hate Dan Sobel, but do not ever hate me or bashing my opinions on Dan Sobel. Do not ever hate me if I like Dan Sobel. It's my decision. It's my decision, not everyone's decision. Like Ryan Silva's never respect my opinion, decided to force me to cut ties to Dan Sobel, which I don't want to cut ties to Dan Sobel. And what he was doing, what I like about Dan Sobel, you guys, so if I like Dan Sobel, I only like when he's doing some good stuff and fun and entertainment stuff only. I don't care if he's doing something wrong. So yeah, I don't like when he was doing something wrong. Well, for when he was doing something bad or wrongdoing, including his swear words, I don't know about the N-word though. It depends, but I don't know about the N-word though. But yeah, which I know Dan Sobel does swear words, which I don't usually do swear words. So yeah, and Dan Sobel likes to do some fun things. He likes to do an unboxing videos, like I got a package video. He does like Little Bear. He loves Blue's Clues. He does like Blue's Clues, and he sometimes likes to do his DVD menus, his kind of like his reviewing and stuff like that. Yeah, he sometimes likes to showing his VHS tapes and DVDs, and maybe Blu-rays, whatever that is, and stuff like that. He likes to do his unboxing videos, or some of his toy reviews, I believe. And he likes to do his storybook reviews. He likes to do his Dan Sobel story time. He likes to do his nursery rhymes. He likes to do his exercise movement times, and yeah, that's what he likes to do. That's what his fun stuff he did. And I gotta say he did a pretty good job making his. I have to say he did a pretty good job making story time reviews. He did a pretty good job doing that. So I don't mind those stuff. I don't mind. I don't know if I appreciate it. I kind of do appreciate it a little bit, but he did pretty good doing his story time, Dan Sobel's story time books, and he likes to do his pretending he likes to do his Blue's Clues stuff. And he likes to do his letter segments. and more. So yeah. Okay, here are the stuff he was doing something wrong. Here are the bad things he was doing. Here are the wrongdoings why he was doing something wrong. Don't worry, I'm coming back while he was doing something right. The good things he does, or stuff on my opinion on Dan Sobel. But here are the wrong. Here are the stuff. Here's another thing about Dan Sobel. Here are the bad things he did, or wrongdoing stuff he did. For some reason, I don't know why they called Dan a pedophile or a man-child. Which I don't want to call Dan a man-child or a pedophile at all. Well, his birthday, Dan Sobel's, anyways, before I'm what Dan Sobel was doing something wrong, I'm telling you what his birthday is. His birthday is January 13th, 1999, and my birthday is November 11th, 2003. So yeah, Dan Sobel's a lot older than I am. So yeah, he's older than I am. So yeah. And I do understand what Dan Sobel was doing something wrong, because I know this is for everyone who remembered Dan Sobel, he was doing something wrong. Because I remember back in 2022, he was screaming at Devin Osborne when making that weird ear rape screaming. It's kind of more like an ear rape to me when he was screaming a lot. For some reason, they make people ears bleed. I know he was screaming a lot with swearing words, and he was just having a meltdown. He just had a bad day, that's all. For me, I just feel bad for Dan Sobel, but I don't want to hate Dan Sobel just because he was doing something wrong. And yeah, I know people does respect my opinion if I like Dan Sobel, but until July 2024, they didn't respect my opinion. That's why Brad Pippen and some of the users lost my respect on Dan Sobel, just because Dan Sobel was changing his pajamas in front of the kids. Well, he don't think he was showing his real private parts, but he didn't want to do it. But on he was changing his pajamas in front of the kids. He didn't realize he was doing something wrong. He thought he was doing the right thing. I do believe that he didn't meant to do anything wrong in the first place. He thought, which I'll say mistakes. If I were bad YouTubers who hates Dan Sobel big time, I'll say it's a terrible mistake. It's a terrible mistake. For me, it's just a mistake. If I were a Dan Sobel liker. So yeah. Because I know there's a lot of YouTube users who hate Dan Sobel, like Ryan Goodwin, Brandon Pippen, Andy Ho, Ryan Silva. I know who didn't respect my opinion is Andy Ho, Brandon Pippen, and Adam DeZayas, and Ryan Silva. He did not respect my opinion on Dan Sobel at all. I know that Nate DeGay Media 2006 hates Dan Sobel. Mr. Evan hates Dan Sobel. Mr. VHS Media Man hates Dan Sobel. The Video Lover 3 hates Dan Sobel. Yeah. And there are a lot of YouTube users hate Dan Sobel. Super Mitomo hates Dan Sobel as well. So yeah. And don't tell me I'm a bad person, even though I'm not a bad person. And I don't think Dan's always a bad person. He just doing something. He was doing a lot of bad or wrongdoing stuff. That's all. And I'll tell you why he was doing something wrong. And this is a video for everyone. Oh yeah, Andrew Brazari, aka Andrew's Movie Corner, hates Dan Sobel. And please do not hate me if I hate Dan Sobel. It's my decision, not everyone's decision. It's my choice to if I want to like or hate Dan Sobel. If I want to hate Dan Sobel, it'll be my decision. Don't tell me if I'm gonna hate Dan Sobel. I don't want to hate Dan Sobel. It's my choice to keep liking him. And don't ask me to hate Dan Sobel just because he was doing something wrong. Because I know Dan Sobel, he's not always a bad person. He's also doing some good things. He likes to do some entertainment stuff as well. He's not always into bad things. He's not into a lot of bad. He's not always into bad stuff 24/7. I know that a lot of people hate Dan Soul for everything, which I don't hate. I don't want. The ones I don't care about Dan Soul, he was doing something wrong. If Dan Soul was doing something wrong, those stuff I don't care about. Like he was screaming at Devin Osborne, he was doing grounding threats, he was giving people middle finger and showing over the private parts. Those are really bad. That's what I just said was via discretion. So yeah. Which I don't want to hate Dan Sobel at all, just because he was doing some good things. He was doing he was doing some good stuff. He was doing some good videos. And yes, he usually likes to do some good. He does do a lot of good videos. He's not always into bad videos all the time. He sometimes do. He does have some bad videos, like he was making a lot of message videos or a lot of angry message videos. And Dancel was saying, like, he was making grounding threats, like saying ground it, ground it, ground it, ground it, or Dan was saying, I'm not gonna, yeah, he was saying, he was just saying, you know, he didn't, he was doing the thumbs down or middle finger, which I don't want to do that, which I don't want, those stuff I don't care about, or screaming or raging and bad things he did something wrong. So yeah, those stuff I don't care about. Including when he was changing his pajamas in front of the kids on TikTok, which he was gonna do it even better. He wasn't chosen being a bad boy. He's not always a bad person or a bad boy. He likes to do some good stuff as well. He's not always into a lot of trouble. He can be sometimes, but he's not always into a lot of trouble. I don't know why a lot of people call him a man-child, or because I know Dancel likes to do some innocent stuff. He's not always a pedophile or a man-child. He's not always a pedophile. I don't know why Dancel call him a pedophile, and they decide not to respect my opinion. Like no matter if they don't want to trust Dan Sobel at all, which I do have to trust Dan Sobel. So yeah. I'm not even a bad person just because I like Dan Sobel or Manic Cartwright and stuff like that. So yeah. And I do see a lot of users who hate Dan Sobel a lot. I know Andy Ho, Andrew's Movie Corner, Brandon Pippin, Ryan Goodwin, Anthony Craig, John Noggan, I believe, Javen Morehouse, and a lot of users. And the rest of a lot of users who hate Dan Sobel. But I do know that New Yorker Scythe, New Yorker Scythe, Jennifer Manning, I'm not sure Logan Carroll, though, but, Jennifer Manning, New Yorker Scythe, Ben LaMancha, I believe he still likes Dan Sobel, I'm not sure nowadays. And some of the other users who are still neutral to Dan Sobel, and so is Adam Carr Favorites. Adam Carr still likes Dan Sobel, but he doesn't care about his wrongdoing stuff. I don't care what Dan Sobel was doing something wrong. Well, like he was screaming at Devin Osborne or changing pajamas in front of the children, and all kinds of bad things he did. Those stuff I don't care about. I don't care what he was doing something wrong, but I do care what Dan Sobel was doing some fun things and fun stuff he likes to do. I really like Dan Sobel for fun and entertainment stuff only, not when he was doing something wrong. I can still watch when he was doing videos while he was doing something wrong, but that doesn't mean I'm going to hate Dan Sobel. I remember Dan Sobel did hate me one time. That's just because I hate him once. That's because I didn't like him. I did hate him one time because I only hate Dan Sobel just for Andy Ho, Brandon Pippin, and the other users only, because I just don't want anyone to hate me because I like Dan Sobel. So I just didn't have a choice to hate Dan Sobel. So after Dan Sobel hates me during that live stream, or when I saw Nate's videos, for example, on this commentary video, well, I just had to give up on hating Dan Sobel. So didn't want. I just lost hating Dan Sobel, so now I like Dan Sobel. I'm not sure if Dan Sobel still likes me nowadays. Well, he does like me again, but I did comment and reply thank you. I did say happy birthday to Dan Sobel. I will never say an unhappy birthday to to anybody. Am I gonna wish Dan a unhappy birthday if I hate Dan Sobel? If I still hate Dan Sobel, no way. But I do say happy birthday to Dan Sobel when I like Dan Sobel. But I did not make a birthday message to Dan Sobel just because. But I remember he did make letters for me back in. I remember Dan Sobel did make letters for me back in 2021 to 2022, and I remember I did make letters for Dan Sobel. I remember the first time I made a letter for Dan Sobel was me fixing a hot dog, and the last time I made a letter for Dan Sobel, which is back in 2022, which is my haircut, which that's the last time I made a letter for Dan Sobel. Before I decided not to like Dan anymore. I didn't want to hate Dan Sobel. I just had no choice. But yeah, but nowadays I don't want. Right now I am very neutral to Dan Sobel just because he was doing some fun because he likes to do some good stuff, fun and entertainment stuff only. I do know that Chase Ballin, Steve the YouTuber hates Dan Sobel, and the rest of the other users. A lot of people hate Dan Sobel because he was doing something wrong or what he was getting into troubles. I know what Dan Sobel was getting into trouble sometimes, but I was a misunderstanding. Because I'm not as bad as Dan Sobel though, but he can be a jerk sometimes. But I don't want to call him a jerk, even though I don't want to call him a jerk, a pedophile, or a man-child, or any other bad names to Dan Sobel. I'm just only going to call him Dan Sobel. I'm only going to call him Dan Sobel and Dan the My Little Pony and Sophia the First Fan. Yeah, and I know he does TikTok, YouTube, or mostly he likes to do some YouTube a lot. I don't know if he does do YouTube 24/7. I know he doesn't always get on YouTube 24/7. I don't think he usually does get on YouTube all the time or on TikTok. He does follow his YouTube channels. He does have he does still have his friends on his channel. I know there are some of the YouTube users who cares about Dan Sobel, and I do care about Dan Sobel, but what I don't care about, he was doing something bad or was wrongdoing on his channel. I only care about Dan Sobel just because he was doing his doing his Blues Clues letter segments and his Blues Clues stuff. And Dan Sobel does like My Little Pony Sophia the First. That's why he likes. He likes to do his My Little Pony Sophia the First and stuff like that. So if I like Dan Sobel, I only care if he does something right or right. I only care if he does something good stuff only. I don't care if he does something wrong. I just don't care if he was doing something wrong. I don't know if I like Dan Sobel when he's doing the bad things or wrongdoing, so I'm going to have to let it be. Because I know Dan Sobel was doing some of his bad stuff and his wrongdoing. He's not always into bad stuff. If Dan Sobel was a bad person, he's not always a bad person. He also can be a good person as long if you want to be kind. If you don't want Dan Sobel to be bad, you have to be kind to Dan Sobel. You have to care about Dan Sobel if you want. You don't have to. So yeah, if you never heard of Dan Sobel, you could subscribe to Dan if you want. But I don't know about that. I know there are some users like Mr. Evan didn't want to subscribe to Dan Sobel because I'm not as bad as Dan. So yeah, I'm not as bad as Dan Sobel. So yeah, he's not always evil. He's not like Dan Sobel's not like. I don't think he's like Eric Payton. I don't know if he's like Eric Payton. Or Greg Hevley UTTP. I don't know. So yeah. I know he does like I know he does like Jennifer Manning. I know he likes New Yorker Scythe, and because I know New Yorker Scythe likes Dan Sobel as well. I know New Yorker Scythe, Adam Carter, Jennifer Manning was still neutral to Dan Sobel, which I was neutral to Dan Sobel as well. Which I don't want to hate Dan Sobel at all, because I'm not, even though I do understand why why a lot of people hate Dan Sobel, because he was doing a lot of bad things or wrongdoings. Because like he was changing his pajamas in front of the kids. Well, which he didn't meant to do anything wrong. He thought he was doing the right thing, but he was doing something wrong. But that was just a mistake. That was just a mistake if I were a Dan Sobel haters, or everyone who remembered watching Dan Sobel changing his pajamas, that is. And I'm glad if Nate the Game Eater 2006 were watching this, if I like Dan Sobel, I know if I like Dan Sobel, he does respect my opinion on Dan Sobel. It is my decision. So yeah, I think if they were watching this, if you're watching this, Nate, I do respect. Thank you for respecting my opinion. It's better than Ryan Silva, because he forced me to cut ties Dan Sobel, which I don't want to cut ties Dan, because everyone who respect my opinion on Dan Sobel or hate was probably better than Ryan Silva, because he never or some of you like or Brandon Pippen or any because he never respect my opinion. That's why Brandon Pippen blocked me on subscribe to his channel, because I like Dan Sobel. And Andrew's movie court didn't respect my opinion. He didn't care about me when I like Dan Sobel. And I might think I'm a bad person, even though I'm not a bad person. Because I'm not as bad as Dan Sobel. I know that a lot of people, I don't know why Homer Simpson just made a cringe video out of me, because I like Dan Sobel, because of my making videos for Dan Sobel, Man Cartwright, and stuff like that. So yeah. And Brad Pippen and other users hates me back in July of 2024, which is because I like Dan Sobel, that was at the end of July of 2024, July 30th, 2024. So yeah. And back in mid-July of 2024, Homer Simpson made a cringe video out of me. I know he made a lot of cringes video of Dan Sobel. I don't know why a lot of people thinks Dan Sobel is cringe. They call him man fat child, which I don't want to call him man fat child. I don't want to call him a man child or a pedophile. I know Dan Sobel looks fat, which I don't want to call him fat at all. I want to call I'm just going to call just Dan Sobel or Dan the Model Ponies if he had the first fan. I remember he likes to do some fun stuff on his channel. He likes to do all kinds of good things he does. He likes to do his Blue's Clues stuff and all kinds of good stuff. So guys, please, if you don't like Dan Sobel, I only like when he's doing something. I only like Dan for his fun and entertainment stuff only. Just like he likes Blue's Clues, for example. I think Jordan's Media Corps 2000 likes Dan Sobel as well. He still likes Dan Sobel. And Dan Sobel does like Jordan's Media Corps 2000. So yeah, which I like Jordan Bowens. So yeah, because he's an awesome user. So yeah. But if all the Dan Sobel haters were watching this, if you're watching this for all Dan Sobel haters, I respect your opinion. If all the Dan Sobel likers who are watching this, I will have to agree with you guys who are everybody who are neutral to Dan Sobel, like New Yorker Scythe and Adam Carr. If you're watching this who likes Dan Sobel, I will have to agree with you. And if you never heard Dan Sobel, you can like it. You could just look it up, his YouTube channel. It's called Dan LaMelo Ponies if you're the first fan. If you don't like it, that's fine. If you don't like Dan Sobel, that's fine. It's fine if you don't have to. You don't have to like Dan Sobel. You don't have to look up his channel. So yeah, I don't know what else I gotta say for this video. This video is only recording 30 minutes. So yeah, that's all I gotta say for this. I think that's the video I'm gonna talk about is Dan Sobel. That's all I gotta say. And please do not ever hate me if I like Dan Sobel. So yeah, that's all I gotta say for this video. Subscribe to my channel, everybody. Triple like on this video, and I'll see you guys next time on next video. Goodbye, everyone.